Move all these coils. Gotta get it to your side and then back.
Alright, so start of day 3, and everything is literally ready to be plopped on. We've got the injectors done, changed all the spark plugs out, and I don't know if you guys have ever worked on these Coyotes, but a lot of fun getting to that 4th cylinder back there on the passenger side with the battery box in the way. The driver's side is actually a lot easier because you've got this vacancy here between the brake booster, master cylinder brake fluid reservoir and the K-frame, so that's a lot easier to get to that 4th cylinder over here. But yeah, everything's ready to drop in. We're like, I don't know, on number 102, step 102-ish. Aside from dropping the blower, I did all the prep work on the blower before putting it in, like getting the bypass hose on, getting all this stuff installed for the evap system, top and bottom, all the hoses and stuff getting routed. So all that stuff's ready to rock. Injectors are done. You saw that little piece yesterday that Alex and I did. So injectors are done. That's all of the factory injectors there. And yeah, so wound up calling it quits last night after building. This was one of the last things I did here, was built the this is the evap canister line, part of the emission system, and then installed the fuel line. So everything's ready to rock. Took our time yesterday. The customer told us that he's actually not going to be here till tomorrow around noon, so that gives us a little bit of extra time. And gonna channel my inner redneck today, and I'm gonna wear my sleeveless shirt. Dad's got guns. And Z-Sword just got here with breakfast. We're gonna hang out with the bonus baby for a few minutes, and then we're gonna get started. So we should be able to have the blower on here within the next 45 minutes to an hour, and then it's just buttoning everything up. We got to put the accessory belt on, put the injectors actually in, install a couple jumper cable harnesses, and then worry about getting the airbox on and stuff. So stay tuned. Should be a pretty straightforward day today, hopefully.
Move all these coils. Gotta get it to your side and then back. That hose in the way. 1 second. You gotta lift the back of the back. There we go. Alright, well, you're good. This coolant hose stays under? Yes. And that's the one that goes down.
Let's try and slide this while the adhesive stuff's still wet.
Yep. Should be pretty well it. Now just check and look around all 4.
There's 4 holes or 6 holes?
Well, should be
There's
4 injector holes.
Yeah.
I say just check and make sure that you don't see any green gasket. That's basically why we did the slide.
Nope, I don't see any green gaskets.
Okay. soon. All right, guys. So we have the blower on. I tried doing this video a moment ago without our light, and it was horrible. But the coolant lines that come out of the back of the blower, that go into the coolant reservoir and down into the heat exchanger, those are all in, cleaned up, zip tied, just to keep them congruent to one another as they run along down into the engine bay. And then these go down underneath into the heat exchanger here on the front. And then we've got the injector, fuel rails are in, the injectors are in, the modified fuel line is just temporarily in. I'm going to work on securing it and cleaning up the line routing once we get the fuel rails actually finally installed. Next up, we're doing the idler setup, which includes the ground and the wiring and the PCV stuff. Then after that, it's the airbox and the belt, and she's ready to fire and test. Alright, so everything's in. We put the coolant in, finished all the wiring, had to custom make a temporary intake solution with a factory airbox. Put the breather on the PCV. Zach's been priming the car by turning it on and off in accessory mode to get the coolant reservoir to pump through the system. We're getting ready to try our first fire here. Belt's on and good. All of the lines are on and good. I guess we're gonna give it a go. So far so good. We got some more work to do. But that's a blower on that GT that didn't have a blower when it came here. Okay, so we are gonna take the maiden voyage and see how the vehicle behaves. Obviously it's making vacuum. This gauge won't help us because it's gonna make boost. Got good oil pressure. Zach's gonna get the infotainment center over here to the air fuel ratio so that he can read that and watch that while we're driving. And we're just gonna see what she does, see how she behaves. So far so good, Z?
Yeah, it was alright.
One of the things that we've had to be cognizant of is the vacuum system to the brake booster. We've had issues in the past where the vacuum assisted brake booster, the stuff that was provided in the kits or whatever, wasn't ample and didn't allow the car to stop. So we checked the brakes are good.
You can't drive this car. Like how they.
Sorry, Chris.
Sorry.
You'll have to fix it, bud.
It's for a good cause, trust me.
Now this is a Mangacharger from Magnuson Superchargers. They're primarily a GM company. They haven't done anything in the Ford spot for a minute. And here's some friends and they actually messaged us to find out, you know, what the status was of this install. So that was kind of cool, kind of exciting. We're going to communicate with them and see if we can't maybe help them rebrand this and launch it for the S550.
That's like quarter throttle.
Right.
I'll check engine light. Temps are fine.
How's the air fuel looking when you're getting?
Air fuel is 14.4 right now.
favorite AutoZone. Anybody here in the Spring Hill area wants to get taken care of very well, come see our boys Jason and Caleb and Garrett at the AutoZone on Anderson Snow, just a little bit south of Spring Hill Drive.
That's right.
Our boys take good care of us, and they'll take good care of you.
And they actually know about cars too.
Yeah, they're not going to ask you what motor you have when they're trying to replace the windshield wipers. So no smoke, no issues. Zach's checking to see if the hood is...
It looks like a nick there a little bit, but I don't think anything. Maybe.
So the pulley sits up real high, obviously, so we had to remove the underhood blanket. We are going to check the coolant passage here for the heat exchanger intercooler setup and see. Yes, good. It took it all in. So we do need to fill it up.
Put more in there?
Yep.
Okay.
Good. That means the pump is working. It's getting everything through it. So we'll keep an eye on driving it back just to the house. It's only about, I don't know, 0.7 miles or something like that to the house. So we'll get it taken back there, and yeah, look, this is the test drive treatment. Make sure everything's working and nothing leaking, and everything looks good. So we'll go home. We've got a couple things left to do. We got to install catalytic converters into his stainless works long tube headers, and then we've also got to trim his APR front splitter, and then this bad boy is ready to rock and roll. It is many hours later, and we are done. Zach is gonna go do a couple of test miles on it, see how it behaves, make sure everything's good before we go on a long ride. We're gonna go put about 75 miles on it, make sure everything's good. But the garage is in dire need of some organization and some cleanup. This is all the stock stuff, and parts will go back to the owner. We've got some parts here ready for Ivan. We got some springs ready here for install if anybody needs some. So anyway, it is now almost 1 a.m. and all right, so we had to do the catalytics. The car has long tube headers, and it had catless long tube headers. So he wanted to put cats in it. So we put Stainless Works long tube headers, Stainless Works catalytic converters on the long tube headers. We did that. We touched every single bolt on the suspension because he's getting some weird clunking and some weird noises. But the car has quite a bit of suspension work done, so I didn't find anything out of the ordinary. Nothing was out of torque spec. Everything was fine. All of the bolts were good. I did notice that the right rear spring was turned a little bit out of the cup, maybe like 1/8 of an inch. So I rotated that back into the cup, but that should have been negligible. That shouldn't have been making any noise. We did quick latches because he just had the bumper repaired, and they glued the bumper to the car, and he wasn't satisfied with that. So we just did a quick latches. We also had to modify the APR splitter. The splitter was installed too far back on the front bumper, which was causing, at full lock, the wheel was actually hitting the splitter. So he was getting a noise out of the front end there. So we diagnosed that, found it, cured it. I mean, I'm not a machinist, I'm not a lot of things, but this came out pretty fuego for the clearancing. Now look, now I'm doing all this, right? I want to show you how close those two pieces actually came out to being identical to one another. Now, I just eyeballed those with Zach, and we cut them. That's pretty damn close, especially for being fucking midnight. Anyway, that's the kind of attention to detail that we usually give for our cars and our customers and whatnot. And so it's late, I'm exhausted, I'm rambling, I'm bambling. Supercharger, check. Injectors, check. custom air intake, using a stock air intake, check. Spark plugs, check. For anybody who doesn't know, changing the 4th cylinder on the passenger side was a fucking nightmare. Done. Intercooler, heat exchanger with the reservoir and pump, check. Catalytic converters, check. Suspension, gone over, check. APR splitter revision from front end noise, check. It's been a busy couple of days. Not bad for 2 days worth of install. Anyway, for now, that's a wrap, boys and girls. Replicate the way it was built on the factory side. So the first thing you're going to do, actually when you get it, you're going to have this retaining clip will be on here. You need